Hello, 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 and welcome back to an episode of Walk With Me, the podcast. I am your host, Marie-Eve Bédard, and today I have a very special guest. I have Mary Morgan with me. Hi, Mary.
Hello, hello.
Hi, hi. I am so happy that we actually stuck with it. We're just talking about before going in, like about leadership and how sometimes like things happen and we need to reschedule and we need to make sure that we're building businesses that are supporting us in our life, not the other way around. And that is one big, big, big point that I just love about you. Um, and that really shows like how we're not going as entrepreneur to actually be slave to our businesses, right? Like we're building your life and integrating the business with us. And you're such an incredible example of this. So thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have like a very powerful origin story. And the other thing that I love about you is you're very transparent about a lot of where you've been because first it shows that it's possible, right? And the other thing is that it shows how much we use excuses not to do to make bigger things. And your brand is so much about innovation and creativity. And it's usually when like you talk about that the blue ocean, right? And sometimes we're actually like, well, often we're in the blue ocean because like we're in the between. There has been a big, big change in our life that has happened to us. And we need to decide where we're going and how we're going and how we're going to show up and lead ourselves through that.
Totally.
I love this. Just give the example just before you came in. Can you actually just repeat that? You just finished a hand raiser challenge. It was 3 days plus the VIP session. And you were just sharing exactly something that would be relevant for the listeners.
Totally. Well, I was just telling you that, one of the days, we did day one and it was amazing. People were raving. It was so, so good. And then Tuesday night, so the night of day one, I feel my daughter's head. Well, she had like a runny nose. She's only 6 months. So I feel her head. Her head's starting to feel hot. Obviously, for new babies who have a fever, like that is concerning. So now I'm starting to get a little worried. We go to the pharmacy. I'm looking at like what can we pick up, and the pharmacist is like, if this was my daughter, I'd probably take her to the hospital. And I was like, I should probably do that instead of picking up, like, I was going to get some Tylenol or whatever it is, try and calm the fever. But he's like, well, what's the actual root of this? So here we are. We go to the hospital. My husband's, on his way. He gets there. It's like 10 p.m. So here we are. It's like 10 p.m. Of course, like you're starting, I don't know about different countries, but I know in Canada, like if you go to the hospital, you're there for 5, 6, 7 hours. So, we're there late in the evening. I think we got there at like, 8 p.m. And then by the time the doctors actually saw us and we left, it was almost 5 a.m. So it's the next day. I have the event today. And I was updating my team already saying like, hey, we're at the hospital. I'll keep you posted whether we're going to do plan A or plan B. And then I was like, okay, we are going with plan B because I'm exhausted. Daughter's doing better, but I'm exhausted. And I'm still recovering. So like, this is still so new. And she bounced back like this. Day two, she was like, great, taking her antibiotics, loving it. She loves that stuff. And then for me, it's like, it's still a little lingering. But, as we were just talking about this, I was like, it is fine to take a day off. I don't know why there's sometimes a stigma when you're the face of your brand where, especially for women, I find this so much more than men, where we build businesses as operators instead of owners of our companies. So if you're an operator, it's like, I need to show up live. I need to like do all these different things. And I think a part of this is like, maybe there's like validation or there's like some other things that are tied. Are people going to like me? I know even when I was pregnant, I thought, oh my gosh, if I get pregnant and I take 2 months of maternity leave, like, is that going to be okay? Are my clients going to hate me? Like all those thoughts, even if they're for like a few seconds, still come up. And I think the biggest thing here is realizing like we're in industries where no one's going to die if you take a month off. Like nothing crazy is going to happen. You will be fine. They will be fine. Right. And it's just literally, I had to say that to myself is like, everybody's going to be fine. In fact, and this is where to kind of go into the swing of like during mat leave as well. It's like that's where I had my team who on the service side of things were more forward in supporting our clients. And then on the front end of like sales and marketing, I built in some things ahead of time so that they were just running a campaign completely without me. We had some of our highest sales months and I wasn't even there. I was fully with baby. I was not in the business at all. I maybe once a week checked in on WhatsApp, like, hey, everything okay? Need anything? No, all good. Okay. Maybe even less than once a week. Like the first couple of weeks, I was like, I didn't even have my phone. And then I started to kind of get in more into it. But it's crazy to me that like sometimes people tell me like, I just gave birth a week ago. And I see them and they're going live and they're like doing all these things. And I think, I mean, it's fine if you want to, but I think a lot of people feel the pressure of needing to, and that's why they do. So I think there's something even there to be said around, showing up when we actually desire to show up. And then how can we build things so that we're not just an operator in our business running the things, but we can build in operators and we're actually just a company owner.
Just love that, and that like the operator part. You actually did a post, and when I saw that post, I was like, that's actually just brilliant because we want to be business owner to eventually, obviously, like have delegated, have people in our team supporting us and everything. But if we are right off the bat going into an operator mindset, it is actually like ingrained in how we do things, and it's very hard afterwards to change your mindset when you're already going, I'm a business owner. Yes, I'm operating some of the stuff for now. And then eventually, like I'm starting to delegate and having a team because you took off during your mat leave. You took off during, after you got married 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I wasn't in your world back then, but like you went on mat leave. I was in your world. And I mean, we got a blast. We missed you, but we got a blast with your team. Like Renee is doing such a fantastic job at supporting us and coaching us, and we didn't see the quality of your stuff come out, like the black books from her kingdom, for example. So,
Mhm.
and on top of it, just before you actually went, and that was, for me, that was a haha moment. I'm gonna I'm going to provide context here. When we go into business, there's a lot of things that we can do, like as coaches, like, even if we're in a niche, for example, when we're talking about like who's your ideal client, well, there's several ideal clients that you can have, and we tend to want to do everything instead of like just focusing on one and then building around it and then expanding to another one, or like having that target get spent, just like like a target thing. And one of the things that we forget, and that was something that landed so much for me with you, was that how about we actually like partner, collab with other people, that because there's this fear like, oh my god, like I don't want people to go elsewhere, like other clients or whatever. But what if we're actually really pulling all our targets together so we have like a bigger target that we're actually moving? And you did, before you left for mat leave, you actually did exactly that with two other people. Do you want to talk about that? Because I was like, that floored me, because I was like, my god, she's done it again. She's a genius.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this. This is, yeah, super good. So I have two really great friends of mine that I've met in other masterminds that are really amazing peers. And one of them, Michael Edwards, he's incredible when it comes to energetics. He's done work with me and vice versa. So I know him really well. We're just about to have a call today. Like we're so well connected. And anyone I bring into my spaces, I don't love, especially for a longer period like this, I don't love just like leaving someone in the hands of my clients. It's different if you're doing a guest session versus like, hi, I'm away, take care of my clients. So there's a relationship that I need to have with someone who's actually like stepping into a role like that. And him and then Heather Alice, I have known for years now. We have connected sometimes on a weekly basis for years. So it's like I've known these two for so long. And I was like, I provide this like innovative touch when it comes to like marketing and sales and content and all of this. But having these two will 10x my clients' results. And I thought about this from the lens of like, I see clients who are in a pattern cycle, but that's not my genius zone. Yes, I can do some energetic stuff and all of this, but it's like that's not my zone of genius. That's where Michael comes in and he can unplug someone like this. And then Heather goes with intuition and like leading with intuition. And them together, I was like, oh my gosh, we got the power duo. We could do like for 2 months. If they came in during this mat leave and they worked with our Black Card Access clients and they did this really intimately, these people would explode. And we saw this and we're still seeing, I mean, it's a compound. So I think one thing here is also looking at, partnered relationships. And it's interesting, like when people say, I'm worried to bring someone in because I'm afraid of like if they're going to take my clients or this or that. I have clients who have gone to Michael and I have clients from Michael who've gone to me. And I think one thing to realize is like you don't just buy one red bag. You buy a red bag and then a pink bag and then a black bag that goes with this skirt. And it's like you buy different things for different desires. So why is it any different in this industry? It's like it's not I just want one bag. Nobody has that. It's like everyone is like, oh, I went to the Tony Robbins event and then I read this person's book and then I went to this course and then I went to this trainer. It's like people are going from thing to thing, not in a weird, I left this coach kind of a way, but just in a, they're purchasing from other people. And that's just the world of commodity and like purchasing. Like people are going to move and circulate wealth in different ways. So I think it's really seeing the abundance of like, I get so happy when I see my clients connect with Michael, Heather, et cetera, because I'm like, you're going to come when you come in this space and you're going to 10X. And even if you don't, and they just like left to move on, let's just say, I don't have any weird feelings to that. Cause it's like, why am I controlling their life? It's like, that's what's meant to happen. Like everyone has a different trajectory. And if I truly care about my client, and I truly care from the depth of my soul of what is going to get them the best result, then how can I possibly say that it's like this product or this thing or do this with me? It's like now I'm playing God and nobody is God. So it's up to them. It's up to their free will to decide and move and choose. And I get so excited because I see them with amazing people. And even if I see them like invest with someone that I'm like, I don't know about that. Like I'm like, but that's a lesson. Like that's a learning. That's part of their journey. It's like you need to meet the crazy man before you meet the amazing man because then you don't appreciate the amazing man until you have this and you're like, now I can see why I really love this man, right? So it's like it's all part of the journey.
I love this because there's so many lessons in our bad choices and often more than our good ones or faster one in any case, right? But it actually, I just thought that it was amazing because you pulled your magic together. You actually said like my zone of genius. Yes, you can actually extend, but like where is your zone of genius and where you're having the most fun, right? And for me, it was like, oh, it's actually interesting because I never thought about this in my like coaching business. And right now it's taking me a little longer because I'm in Germany, because it's in Europe, because like I'm laying the ground for collaboration that are more here than back in Canada where I was. But actually made me think about when I was teaching, I taught scuba diving for years and years. I like 5, 6 years I taught scuba diving, and one of my zone of genius was rescue diver, CPR, emergency first responder, and dive master. And the dive master in their program of like completion, they have to have like stages. They have to like have a certain amount of things that they were doing. And there was a minimum of like, I don't know, 3 different instructors or 4 different instructors that they had to do it with. But a lot of them were doing the minimal and they were sticking with me. And I kept on telling them, no, you have to go see what other instructors are doing because we all have our magic. We all have, it's all nice and dandy that you love me and you want to stick with me. But I'm not sure that it actually is the best way for you to find all that there is out, Came back to me yesterday. I was actually, so I stopped teaching scuba diving. Like it's been over 10 years now, and I didn't even review my first aid or whatever. And yesterday I was doing my first aid course here in Germany, in Europe, with the European, standards and everything. And even if I have taught like that for 5, 6 years, I learned so many things, like little tricks, like that other people are doing, that other people are like, and if we want to be innovators, we need to have an inspiration that actually like makes it click in our and say like, that actually is interesting. And it's not because you're going to do the same thing, but it unlocks, for me, it's like unlocking codes within ourselves when we're exposed to other people. And when we do collabs like that for our clients, it is doing the same thing. It actually unlocks from different angles, right?
Oh, I love this. And I love that you brought innovation forward. Well, I didn't know about the scuba diving bit. So this is really cool. And I think one thing that's really interesting for all the listeners as well is like, I don't like to use mistakes, but like one of the biggest areas of opportunity for so many entrepreneurs, especially people who are in the coaching service, like intangibles industries, is really looking at, we always talk about like unique selling proposition, like that's basic marketing. It's like, what makes you unique and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, when you really think about this, it's like when you talk about scuba diving and you talk about all these different parts of you, but people don't expose this stuff online. But then someone looks at your feed, it's like another trauma coach, another health coach, another business coach, another whatever coach. So I think one huge area of opportunity when we look at innovation, one of the easiest things to do is even just, when it comes to, I used to be a creative director of actually one of the biggest department stores in Canada. That's closing down, which I'm so sad about.
What? Oh, really?
Yeah, Hudson's Bay, first company in Canada. And saddens me because they were a company before Canada was a country. They were selling furs and trading furs, and they became a company. And then I worked actually in their fur salon, so I saw the whole history of furs. I traveled with the buyer and all this. It was just incredible. So I have a little attachment to that, and I get saddened, hearing this, but also from afar, not working with this company for over, I don't know, a decade now. One of the biggest things that you'll see with these different companies, and this will come back to what I'm talking about in just a sec, but like to come back to this company, it's like what is interesting about all these big department stores is they're running a business like it's the 80s still, right? So this is the same thing that happened to Blockbuster. This is the same thing that happened to all these other amazing companies that go under is they don't innovate. They don't move with the times. People shop differently, people move differently. There are different decisions that are happening. And I think one of the greatest opportunities for, besides just the coaching industry, is like innovators as a whole, entrepreneurs as a whole, is to continue to innovate. It's like, it doesn't just stop when you create a cool product line. It doesn't just stop when you found your angle. It doesn't just stop when people know you and you become the thing. It's like, you keep innovating, and that's what keeps you ahead of the curve. That's what keeps you number one. That's what keeps you Billboard top charts. That's what keeps you in all these different places and you'll look at the top artists or the top innovators in artistry when it comes to their song, not just songwriting skills. Like Taylor Swift's tour sold out like crazy. I mean, top charts for so many years. And when I think about her brand, she is a massive innovator. Like when you think about her music, she drops hints and Easter eggs inside of her songs where then people are obsessed and they're chatting about like, wait, is this coming out? Is this coming out? And there's a whole conversation. They have bracelets, there's Swifties, like it's basics of like, if you actually think about building a cult, it is a cult. So it's like, you've got the cult leader, you've got, all these different angles of like building a movement. We want to be a part of something. It's crazy. So when I think about Hudson's Bay, I think about all these different companies. It's like innovation is the core of what we need to step into as online entrepreneurs, especially because all of our industries are so saturated. The internet gives zero barrier to entry. So someone can become a coach like that. And then now they're a coach, and now you have 500 more coaches. So it's like, what actually separates, these people from these people is the people who actually innovate, who create a culture, who create a movement in their images, in their videos, in the way that they speak, and all of this. It's like, people see you, they want to copy you, but they don't even know how to copy you because it's so different. Like I'm just picturing, like imagine Marie-Eve, like imagine you're like, I don't know, scuba diving and like you're teaching concepts and something like this. Like I can't do that. I would be like, oh, that's cool, but how do I do that? Right. So it's like even things like that are like, I can do something that's so unique to me that no one can do, because it's like, who else is gonna scuba dive and do this and this and this? Like, and it's so fun. And it makes content creation fun for you, which then in turn makes receiving your content and consuming your content bingeable and exciting. And like, what the hell am I watching? This is so cool. That is what I desire for every experience that I have with my clients. Is I want every single product, every single program, every marketing experience, every sales experience to be like, oh, what the hell? This is so cool. What am I experiencing? This is so different. Like I desire to bring that forward, and that comes through innovation.
Is God, I love you. You know, I actually recently, and this is why I'm bringing forward. I think it was a year and a half ago. I did an experience that was called Breathe, and I was people that actually came in, but like not a lot of people. And I was like, oh, it's actually interesting. And that was before I actually started in her kingdom. And there's so many of the things that I didn't think that matters. And I remember one of the first conversation that we had together, it was like, cause my biggest hurdle was like, how do I bring me to the box? Like, how do I like cast who I am in that box? And how do I bring that there? Because my work needs to be experienced. It's like, okay, yeah, it's all nice and dandy. Like everybody's work needs to be experienced. Your zone of manage, and you did it with Winter Wonderland. I wasn't in Winter Wonderland, but you did it like so many different times where you create these events where you talk about this, like you create experiences. And actually it's one of the, I was reading your bio earlier, and it's one of your descriptor, right? You're creating these experiences, so it's a platform for people to experience your work. And at the same time, I've been in your world for like a year now. I finished watching the videos this morning. It's not that you say the same things, but you do say the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And that is proof. And I was listening to you and I was like, oh, that actually, and then I was taking notes. And then I actually was going back to my notes from the last event that we had. And we like this. So this is what I was saying, like this little code, you know, and you're just a proof of there's so much information in what you're giving. There is no lack of information, people, for us to move. The problem is that we're not moving. We're not implementing. We actually think that we need to be perfect before we actually do something. When the whole point of like what we're doing is to actually create and to try and to implement and this is why when we actually have little pieces here and there that we're creating, you were able to actually drop the money magnet thing while you actually were sleeping that day, so we can catch up the next day and continue together. And that was actually super relevant within the framework. We didn't feel like we missed anything.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it gave us more time to integrate what were going on, because that was a lot of things that we were receiving. And in all your stuff, I didn't do Next Revolution because it was just after my dog passed away. And I was like, I don't have the bandwidth for anything like this. But I did get the link to actually rewatch it. It's BS when people are saying like, I need to have more information before I like la la la. And I want you to riff on this because like, this is it's whether it's in business or whether it's like in or life coaching, it's always the same darn things. You don't need more information. Actually, you do need more information. You need more information from within, not from out. That's what I would actually say. The information is, you need more information that comes from within, what activates you, what inspires you, what brings you fire, what angle of creation. Like your videos, like for example, are just amazing because you're bringing something that is different. We're experiencing it because you're diving inside and bringing that out in a way that we can actually receive it and resonate with.
Oh my
Right?
God. Okay. I love this so much. So totally. And it's like with the rise of ChatGPT, you have information at your disposal like this, and pretty good information. So it's like you can turn ChatGPT, and I've seen people do this where they turn it into like their own Tony Robbins, and they can get coached by Tony Robbins through ChatGPT. And when you look at it, it's like the prompts, and they can actually learn his process, and it would be good. And it is like you are learning from him. So it's like we're at this stage where, there is endless information, but also even application. Like, okay, how can I apply this? Tony Robbins, oh, do this. Like, so it's not even about like how do I apply it or information. It really is what you said. It's the like truth within. And when I think about this, it's like we're just about to launch a campaign of a video and photo production happening on the 5th. And at the time of this recording, it's the 30th of April. So, just next Monday, we're going to be recording this whole production. And it's a sequence. So I will storyboard like a sequence. So this is like kind of like a little in of my process. So I have this big vision of the conversation I want to have. And I'm like, okay, if this is a conversation I have, what's the, think of like a board game, like the little pieces. What are the little pieces I want to distribute to tell the full story? And then I'll literally frame by frame, from clothing, from makeup, from props, from voiceover, from like angles. I tell the full story. So I'm involved, and I know not everybody likes to be this involved, but as a creative, like this is my jam and I love to do this. So I get so involved and I really make this like an art piece. And it's like, you can't do this on ChatGPT. If you tell it like storyboard for me a story on this, like it isn't going to have the same tone. And this is where I feel there's discrepancy between ChatGPT content and like Marie-Eve content, Mary content, so and so's content is like ChatGPT can create masterpieces of content. Some of them will sound ChatGPT, but someone who really knows how to use AI can write incredible content. But the difference is then you feel a different layer of activation in that person. Can they actually hold the frequency of what they say? So let's see them on live camera. This is why live video streams in general are so powerful, because now I can see you, the human. And if I feel a frequency dismatch, I would never hire that person, because I'm like, there's something here where there's like, I feel a disconnect, and I would just move on. Right. And really, that disconnect is there's a lack of integrity, there's lack of authenticity, there's a lack of truth, creation, innovation. Like there's a lack of that skill set. And when we have this skill set, and every single one of us have deep within us, creator, innovator, like we all have these things. We've been these things as children. When we realized nothing was impossible and we could be a fairy princess if we wanted at 2 p.m. and then a butler at 3 p.m. So it was like we could do and be and have anything as children. And then I find, as we grow older, we have all these rules and all these things and structures that like diminish our little inner magical fairy. And then what starts to happen, and what I love seeing in the clients that I work with, is when that inner fairy comes back out. And when they start creating things, just like we talked about with the diving as an example. I don't know why I keep coming back to that, but it's like, I think that's so cool. Like if I saw a video like that, I would stop and watch it. I'd be like, what the hell is this woman doing? Okay, let me watch this. And then I'm watching it, and then I'm interested, and then I'm hearing what you're saying. And then I look at your page and I'm like, oh, this is so different. So the difference here is like ChatGPT, let's say they can do one layer of the content, but they can't do everything. They can't bring in that authenticity. They can't bring in that innovation forward. They can't bring in all those pieces that only you know, and only you know your entire, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever years of experience that you've been on this planet, where you can look at your full story. And in your video sequences, there's like subliminal messages, like the Taylor Swift seeding of like something is coming, or like parts of her story, or the number 13 is important for her. Like all of these things. How do we know this? Because she talks about it and we see it visually and all of this. So this is where people start to really experience your content and experience it, not just hear it, right? And this is one of the things that, you'll see this in my bio, but also I was just speaking to someone about this, because I had a woman who I was running a masterclass that was called 10 ways to make 10K in 10 minutes. And it was this fun, like, here's some creative campaigns. And I had this woman who messaged me and she said, I have opted into your masterclasses. I've never watched any of them. I watched 5 minutes of this masterclass that you did. Tell me about working with you. And then she invested 5 figures to work together in like a one-to-one capacity. This is so normal for me. And the reason I bring this up is like, she didn't watch the masterclass. She didn't she didn't really listen to anything that I was teaching. And some people focus so much on what they're teaching. How do I increase the show up rate? All of this. And that's still important. Like that's a skill set, and we want to increase that because there are buyers there. But there's also a whole segment of premium buyers who are just watching from afar, who are watching and just experiencing you, who are seeing how, not what you're saying, but how you say it. They're watching not what you create, but how you create it. How does she promote this? How does she talk about this? Because that holds a frequency. It's like me watching you talk about these different core topics and feeling fulfilled and all these different things. But then I see it in a way that I've never experienced it before. I'm like, oh, there's something here. There's something different. Like she's onto something. That's what speaks to a premium buyer. It's like it activates an identity. It speaks to a level of like social status. Like that's one of the triggers I talked about in the challenge as well. It's like it speaks to these different triggers where people will literally just see something and in minutes want to buy. That's the difference between, when we're selling to premium buyers versus when we're marketing to like more of a mass market product, right? That is when you should focus on like, what are you saying? And blah, 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 all those, how are you doing your pitch? Like all of those things versus someone who's buying 10, 20, 30, 50,000 plus is often watching how you do it. And it's more of the embodiment of it through how you're creating, how you're showing up, all of those different pieces that, like we said, ChatGPT and all these different information bases can't create.
This is such an incredible example. That was something that I never thought of before I experienced the other side of. And just to provide context here, I created something when I was in Canada, like different, like I used to teach eccentrics, like when I opened my naturopathy practice in Canada, like I had clients already that were ready like for to come in. And then when we moved here, a whole bunch of things happened that made me collapse my energy. And I thought it was like, oh, it's actually weird, like is it because because I switched from French to English? No, it's not. Is it because so we get all these excuses where like, well, I don't know, like the algorithm doesn't like me or like all these things you were talking about like earlier where you all have these things pop up, but the energetic piece, what the Austin Power mojo, when he loses his mojo, when he actually like when your energy collapse, whether you actually talk about this, when your energy collapses on like a live because you're making the numbers that are up there like mean something about like, and then you're not delivering at, and it's not about like being a perfect person and the perfect hair and the perfect whatever and like being this robot, then you're actually more like a chat GPT.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you? What is your energy? And can you hold that energy? And we're talking about like, you have to be high vibe. No, you don't have to be high vibe. That's not it's not the high vibe thing. It's like, are you within your body? Are you within yourself? And it was funny because I actually like the first 2 years, I'd say like coming to Germany, like I really like everything collapsed. And it's funny because we're talking about ChatGPT and I'm just going to sidestep here. Somebody was, I saw a post the other day and it was somebody that does human design and they actually they asked ChatGPT to describe like all the different human design like
Yeah.
types and to just go at it. And I'm a projector. And one of the things that actually ChatGPT said was like, projectors are like flowers. If there's nobody that watches them, they just wither and die. And I just laugh. I just laugh because when we are, and that was a big challenge and like a wake up call for me because first I've realized how much I was actually relying on external validation to
Mm.
maintain my energy, like I'm a good person. So that really got my level up of leadership. And the other thing that came through, and this is where I why I'm actually talking about this, was that I had the helper syndrome in my practice and in helping people. And as soon as I couldn't hold those people, they just I realized I had a lot of rocks. I had a lot of people that were actually like, if I'm not pulling them, they're not moving. And I didn't want to be a cheerleader. And that's what actually brought me into your world, the ball versus bricks, not
Mm.
like, so that was something that was actually really interesting for me. Where am I actually talking? It's not about like, because when we're working on trauma and we're working on like, this is deep serious things, like,
Yeah.
however, within that particular like niche area, we are all different people. Like, I'm not the type of person that even if I'm in the throes of grief, am going to just sit there and look and not do anything. Like, I have tools and I will move forward in the way that I actually will move forward. And I will find people that are bringing the energy and, not just talking about what I need to hear or I think that is the next, thing that I need to do, but also like, will they have the energy? Like, I just find that it was such an incredible, like, eye opening for me for my energy, as well as how I was actually getting into people's containers as well.
This is so interesting. So, for context, bricks and balls are basically, a brick is someone who you give them a flick, they won't move. Like, they are just stuck there. They're usually the person who claims victim. Oh, I'm an introvert. That's why. Because of my trauma. That's why. Blah, blah. And they're holding on to this identity. Versus the ball, you give them a little flick and they're moving and they are rolling anyways. So, the way that I see this really is like, for example, in the trauma world, it's like you're doing Reiki in person, you're looking at this. Grief is a great example too, because it's like there are some people who, in grief, their world stops and it can stop for years. And like they're just at rock bottom for years, for months. And, there's that kind of person. And then there's a person who they're still experiencing grief, but they're still moving. Like there's some form of action. And that doesn't need to mean that they're going to parties and they're having the time of their lives, but it's like they're moving though. They're moving through their grief. They're trying to work through their grief. So there's like I'm moving and I'm doing this, I'm doing the practice versus this just happened, so I can't do anything. So I think there's like that, the bricks versus balls. And also for us, when I think about highest form of magnetism and lowest form of magnetism, it's like, we are in our highest, like, even if you think about yourself, like, when am I the most magnetic? I know for me, it's like one, when I'm super activated and excited. And what I love saying is like activated looks different for every single human. For one person, just like you said, it's that high vibe bouncing off the wall, like that's activated. For someone else, it's grounded. Like there's a different frequency. I remember when I was celebrating my first $1 million, like there was things that were going on that I was like, it didn't make sense for me to bounce off the walls. Like, there was duality at life at that time that I was like, that didn't make sense. But like journaling and grounding, that made sense. And I'm an introvert and more grounded anyways as a human. Like I have moments of high vibe, but it's like, that's what I mean by activated can look different for every single person. So for one person, it's like, I'm having the best day ever at this dinner together. For someone else, it's like, champagne and this and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, what does activated firstly mean to me? When am I the most activated? Because if you know your activation type, and this doesn't come down to like human design or anything like this is like you as a human, because every single human has a different thing that activates them. And it can be things as simple as, I know when I move my body and I walk outside, I'm activated. Like it could be as simple as this. It could be I'm putting on, I'm a badass woman and I put that on. We were just talking about this. And then I'm like dancing around the house. I'm activated. So one thing that I love is, how can I shift into a frequency of activation quickly? For me, it can take me 10 seconds. I turn on a song, I move my body, I shake myself, I'm activated. Okay. For some people, and this was me earlier on, is like it would take me weeks to feel activated, months to feel activated. Now it's seconds. So even collapsing time of activation means I create more in activation, means I receive more through my magnetism of activation. So I think there's that one piece that's a whole code that we can uncover, because that's like there's so much in that. The second is when I'm in the zone. So this comes from, I'm activated, but now I'm in the zone. So what does that look like? It's like, I'm not, what content should I create today? What's going to get someone to buy? Okay, my sales are low. Like that's not in the zone. Like, you kidding me? Like being in the zone is like, I don't even care who's watching this, like at all. I'm going to create the craziest. I'm going to do this production. I'm going to storyboard this sequence. I'm going to create this whole thing. And even if no one watches it, I could care less because it's for me. So I don't care if you're watching this. I'm watching this. You know what's so funny? Just side tangent. We were talking about neurodivergency. Side tangent. I'll come back. I was watching this thing on, I think it was American Idol. There's a clip that came on my YouTube. So I watched it. And it was this woman who was the most charismatic, hilarious woman I've ever seen in my life. So she comes on stage and she goes, I'm going to be singing my own song, and this one will get you emotional. And you can see her like get emotional. And then she goes into the song and it's like, the cats, the dogs. And it's like this super silly song. Have you seen this? And it's like F laundry, F this, F that, F grandmothers, F babies. I was like, what am I watching? And I was like, this woman is so activating through her charisma, through her like just silliness. I was dying. I was like, I sat watching this video and I was like, what the hell am I watching right now? But that's an activation energy. Like that is her in her zone. And her face is so serious. Like that's what really made it pop. Was she was so serious. She's like, F babies. I was like, what? Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, I've seen. I just love it, and actually, that circles back to the inner information, right? Um, hold on. This is what I love about your world. It's because you're bringing so many different pieces at the table, and it's like I feel like I'm coming to you. You're a business coach, but I'm not learning business coaching. Like I'm not learning business strategy. I'm actually learning. Like it's like I want ice cream, and I actually get to the ice cream, and it's like there's not like four flavors. There's like you used to have like that in Canada, like those signs. Where did I see that? Those signs with like 86 different flavors, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? Like, and then you think that because of the most popular one is like I don't know, like chocolate, but like you don't know, you don't like chocolate. You actually want like the basil strawberry one, but you think that you have to produce that chocolate, right?
Yeah.
When we are thinking about that, I was listening to you, and if me coming on and being in my energy is being grounded, yes, I can actually be like very just I gesticulate, but I am not going to be the one like, whoa, that's not
Mhm.
my activated state. But if I actually think that it is the way that I need to be successful in business, there's always a distortion.
Mhm.
And we're actually stuck into cycles where we're like, I don't know, like it works for her. Like, why isn't it working for me?
And
Yeah,
you
what?
actually drop your magnetism in that. Like I've seen people who watch other people sell invisible, mysterious like offers like this. And they're like, oh, I should do this too because it's selling out for them. And then they do it and it doesn't work. And then vice versa. So it's like from offers to how you show up to all these different things. And this is why in the very beginning of my business, so when I first started as a coach, prior to this, I had a design agency and I kind of fell into coaching because I was doing it naturally to my clients. They were seeing results because I would design these amazing websites and graphics. And then they were like, okay, I'm seeing like you have nonstop clients that are paying you like multiple five figures for these brand packages. I'm struggling to sell a $150 logo. Like, what are you doing? So I started to like teach them these things, teach them around high ticket, teach them around all these different things. And then they started to see growth. And then I saw an ad about coaching and I was like, you could get paid to coach someone? Like, I thought I was just talking. Like, what do you, how you're selling air? What do you mean you get paid for air? So then I was like, okay, this is a thing. So fast forward, I'm in LA, I started coaching. Like it was a whole thing. And then when I think about this, it's like when I first started, I really spoke to the strategy, the like step by step by step, here's what to do, here's what it is. And when I think about this, it really is like here are core pillars that do exist because it's like, here's what triggers someone to buy. Like there are core foundational things that are like, this is what gets people moving. But how do I turn that trigger on? Well, how do you turn that trigger on in a man? Like you could be mysterious, you could be sexy, you could be grounded, you could be high vibe. Like everyone floats a different boat. So I think it's like one thing that's important here to recognize is like, yeah, what is my activated energy? If I am, like for me, it's like, the little mischievous, like this emoji, like I know some of you are listening on audio and you're like,
Little devil,
yeah,
the purple devil, right?
yes, it's like purple mischievous emoji. And little hint that's going to be inside of our shoot somehow. So there's this mischievous energy, and that is my activated energy. So you could even see it in my eyes when I slightly turn that on, and it's like, my eyebrows start to twitch, and I was like, I'm onto something. Like something is happening. I've got my potion working. Like that's my activated type. So sometimes when I play this with clients, and they're like, I don't know, I'm like, okay, what emoji is your activated emoji? Like, what's the emoji you love to click on? I also love the fire emoji. So it's like maybe it's the fire emoji, but fire to me and this little emoji, like I feel this sense of like turning up the heat, turning up the dial. Okay, we're on to something. So it's like you can potion up your activated energy and like create your own activated energy. For someone else, it might be like not the complete flip side. And yes, being grounded, but maybe being grounded in a more like pure groundedness, like a soft groundedness. So it's not like, oh, I'm onto something mischievous. This is exciting creator vibe. It could be something where it's like soft energy, and that could be something that you lean into. So it's like there is no, this is the activated energy. It's like activation is like what actually activates me. when am I on fire? Because I know you'll see this, you'll see anyone who's listening, you'll know this. Like anytime you're the most activated, you're the most magnetic, and you'll see the best results. And I remember in the very beginning of my business where I was like, nobody knows me. I can create anything. Like I literally, this is how I felt when I came into the coaching world is I knew no one. There was no this person and this like celebrity coach. Like there was none of this. It was just me coming online with this gift of being like, hi, what do I want to do? And then I was like, let's do this. And then I would do it. Oh, let's do this. Okay, done. Oh, let's do. And I would do, and just create. And I wasn't like processing like, oh, I should do this. And like, there wasn't a lot of like working behind the scenes. It was literally just I'm throwing and implementing and moving. And I truly believe that that's what led to so much rapid growth is I just moved quickly and I didn't care who's watching. And I would go and do live streams. And I had people who I don't know from college and who knows what who were watching. And it was like there was no one in the coaching industry that was watching yet. There were none of my ideal clients. And I created it and then they came. It's like you're setting up the table. So then eventually people would come to my page and the table was set. People would see all the conversations. People would see all the things. Again, when I think about my earlier days, I know you know this story, but I did 165 sales calls before closing a single client. And that was purely because of my energy, because I knew sales and I was great at sales in corporate. But then suddenly now, when I'm speaking to people about my own work, I'm like doubting myself. And I'm starting to say things like, I think I could kind of help you with that. And I'm like, woman, like, I wouldn't even buy that. Like, that's horrible. What do you mean? You could kind of help me? No, I need someone who can. I guess not.
Get
Move
that.
on. Yeah. So it's like even when I rewatch the videos, there's like this like good girl energy. There's this trying, this need of validation. There's like you can feel the energy of me on the call wanting to receive something, to be able to give you something. Like, am I saying the right thing? Ooh, what did she just say? Like there was so much over calculation almost in some of that where it's like I then lost my magic. Right. So it's like there was a period in my business where I lost my magic and I felt like, you know, even besides doing the coaching calls where I got too into the business coaching and I got too into the strategy and too into all this that I lost my creation, innovation, all of that. Cause I thought nobody's going to buy that stuff. What they really want is like leads and clients and money and this. So let me just sell that. And I think it's really interesting because it's like when I look at those two different zones, it's like I can still sell when I'm not fully activated, but what I receive is a very different client. I
Mm,
receive a client who comes in who's also not activated. So I need to activate this woman now. I need to get this woman moving. I need to like show her how great she is. And like,
cheerlead.
I need to cheerlead her. I need to hold her hand. I need to spoon feed her. And there's this whole sequence of like, it's been 2 days. Why didn't I make $1 million? I guess this program sucks. Right. So it's like I started to build this business where I looked at my offers and I was like, I have all the wrong people. And I know that's not me. That's not a them problem. That's a me problem. I brought in these people. And then I look at my business, and this was a point where one of my spaces was generating over 70,000 plus per month just on recurring revenue. Like if I did nothing all year, we were around $1 million. And just in this space, I decided to completely close it down, shut that, refund people, end it. And this then took my business from like, you know, millions of dollars to the now like we're close to $0, practically feeling like it was overnight. Having overhead, having like team, having staff, having all these things and freaking out because I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like 2 payrolls and then that's it. That's all I've got. And I remember being in this space and realizing like I've really built my business at this point now. Like I really built my business based on what people wanted, based on what I thought would sell, based on it's almost like it started with the magic, but then it led down this journey of like, what do the people need? What do like all of this? And then I hated it. And then I burned that down and then I rebuilt to our amazing programs and business now where we have some physical products. We have people who are like I have clients who one of my clients was the vice president at Coca-Cola. Another client is making like 500K euros per month, like just crazy, crazy clients. Another client was like, she travels to China and she does all these incredible things and speaks in Asia. Like I met all these amazing people and I work with all these amazing humans that you can see are activated, and they're going to continue to be activated without me, with me, like it doesn't matter. And again, I think this is a part of an equation in the coaching industry that's not as talked about, but I noticed like even in testimonials, like in this era of me where everything was like not as great, testimonials always made me look good, but didn't make the client look good. Like it was like I went from 0 to like, finally she saved me, versus then later having testimonials that were like, with me or without me, like she's doing amazing. Here's what we co-created together. It's like partners and team members sort of a vibe versus like savior master slave relationship is like what it sounded like. And it's like, even in all those little details, like from testimonials to your marketing to your sales. And again, like in this era where things weren't as good, like I was sharing, and this is what kind of led to this, I was sharing results that were happening so quickly. And I didn't share the flip side. I just shared that so and so had a 20K day, but I didn't share that she also navigated, trauma and healing and all this other stuff behind the scenes that she was dealing with her father and sickness and all of this. So it's like it led to people then thinking and expecting things to move quickly. So all this to say is really looking at when we think about our companies, it's coming from the lens of, if I am the activated woman and I can create anything, and really why we tend to pull in these kinds of people, because here's something, Marie, that I noticed that was so interesting, was like they would be really weird in my space and want instant results, but then they were in someone else's space and they were like zen and like a different human. And I was like, wait, how is this happening? And I was like, oh, in the way that I called them in, I called in that energy, not that human, because that human has multiple energy types, right? But then this other woman comes in and she's like, you've got this, blah, blah, blah. And she pulls them in, but from an activated energy. So in her space, they're activated. In mine, they need activation. They're struggling. The world is ending. I'm like, what is happening right now? So this was a huge realization that was like, it's not even the person that's a brick or ball. It's not even the person that's activated or not. It's the kind that I'm pulling in. It's like being in, again, if you think about a relationship, it's like having a relationship with one person and you're talkative and you're on fire and everything's amazing. And then with this other person, it's like, I don't know what to say. Like, things are awkward. Things feel different. And it's like, again, it's the same human, but it's two different energies that are being distributed. And it's like, it really comes down to, again, this co-creation that we're creating. So this is why I talk so much in my work about when we innovate in our content, when we lead in this way, we are so activated that we can't be copied. And instead we become this person that pulls in the highest possible activation within others, and they feel this activation within us. And it's like Einstein meets Einstein, Michelangelo meets Michelangelo, power meets power. It's this relationship that's like completely different to how most people see the coaching industry, of like, I am here to help you, I'm here to serve a need. Where to me, it's like, you have your needs met, you're a good woman, like, let's go. What do we want to create? Let's go. Okay, we're doing this, let's go, let's do it. And it's like, I have no doubt that you won't do this. I have no doubt in my mind that you won't invest like this. I have no doubt. And I think, again, a part of this is the personal power that we hold ourselves as leaders, of like, I don't doubt that someone will pay me 50K today. I don't doubt that any of these things are out of the realm of possibility, of creation, of potentiality. And as a result, they happen.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless because there's like, if there's something that actually like brushes me the wrong way, is like all these hashtag proud coach things, and like, look how many people I've saved, or look how good I am because these people are. While you were talking, I actually just remember what was the post that made me get into her kingdom. And it wasn't like I saw like all the ads for her kingdom. There was one post that you wrote that was about that there was no bad clients. You remember that post?
Tell me more. Do I remember
There
this?
was no bad clients. There was actually like, it was more of a like, because it was more of an opportunity to have the conversation, to hold that person to their highest self within our containers, and see if we actually want to continue or not together. And it's like that for all of our relationship. But as coaches, we actually feel like we need to like either flush, or like it's the highway, when like the person that is in front of you, you might have been there like 5 years, 10 years ago, and you're actually in the position of power in your own resonance power, like activation. having that conversation will actually probably make or break, but most of the time it would actually, it is the, like the push that they need to really realize what's going on, like, and that came, and I remember that I actually wrote back and I said, oh, that actually reminds me, one of my friends who actually, he has been a like a consultant for manager for years, and he kept on saying there's no bad employees, there's just bad management. Like I
Yes,
see
I
this
remember.
time and time and time again. And when I saw that post, I was like, okay, like this, because I was really tired of the coaching industry, the way that it was going. And I was like, I mean, because the being a coach is just bringing somebody from A to B or A to Z or whatever. Like you're actually coaching, like it's like those carriages that brings them from one place to the other. So you can be a coach for anything, like painting, but it has become a word that people hate because of that.
It's like a stigma.
Well, there's a distortion in the power where like you're just selling because people are like helpless, and you actually keep, it's like the dieting industry. It's actually the only one that lives from its failure. Well, there's a part of the coaching industry that has been starting to change over the last years, but because a certain period of time people could actually come, oh, I'm a coach. There was actually like the same thing that was happening. People were kept in that cycle of need instead of being like, okay, let's have this conversation where we need to elevate this conversation, because if you're meant to go forward, we need to speak to each other like you're in your activation, you're in your power, you're like, you can do this, like you can actually do this. And we all have moment where we're like I can't do this, like not that I can do this, but like we all have a moment where we're like, why am I doing this, like why am I continuing, because it's difficult. But it's like, you can stop and put your bags down, but you don't need to unpack and live there, right?
Totally. And I think this is interesting when you think about also like people will say like speaking to pain points or not to speak to pain points, or when we speak to our clients, like I know there's a lot of also, I don't know if you feel this, but sometimes I go to some people's pages and it feels like mean girl energy. Like it feels like we're back in high school and it's like, I don't know, very mean. Like some people say things like, here's why this sucks for you. And like, oh my gosh, like I don't think I would ever work with this kind of a person, right? Like, so I think there's even this where, and I think a part of this actually comes from unresolved trauma that we are trying to exude then to other people. And like, I think there's a whole thing there. But when I think about this, it's like, one, am I airing out my dirty laundry? Like for some people, they'll say things like, I invested in this. It was the worst decision. Like, let me break down, blah, 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 or whatever it might be. But like, there's something like this. Sometimes also people speak so negatively about the coaching industry, but then I'm like, but you're in the coaching industry. So like, how does this make sense? So instead of like speaking down at these things, be proud that you're a coach, raise up the frequency of the coaching industry, raise up the frequency of, I mean, this always exists, when Bitcoin came out and it was like the talk of the town. And then it was like, don't invest in Bitcoin. And it's like, this will come and go in so many different industries. And I think what really holds to be true is instead of now a lot of people will be like, I'm not a coach, I'm actually a like consultant, speaker, expert, course creator. But it's like you're a coach. Like, so it's like, just because you remove a word doesn't mean you're not in an industry that's like e-learning education. Right. So I think one thing that's important around this industry is like us all being a part of this. How are we raising the conversation when it comes to coaching, when it comes to supporting clients in general, besides coaching, even in services industries or anywhere that we're supporting other humans? Like, how am I actually supporting? How am I raising the conversation when it comes to this? Because again, even when I think about trauma and, not to even go down to like grief, but even just trauma, it's like trauma exists in every single human in different ways, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
when we think about how we are experiencing trauma, it's like, are we experiencing trauma working through it ourselves, or are we experiencing it with the world because we're publicizing our trauma, right? So I think there's like an area here that's a little unclean in the coaching industry where it's like, talking bad about different things and blah, blah, blah versus, when it comes to pain points. And again, I'll touch on this being someone in the marketing world where people say to pain point or not to pain point, quote Shakespeare. But it's like, I personally think it's okay to speak to pain, but it depends on how you do it, right? It's like when you go to a doctor's office, they're going to ask you, does your knee hurt? Oh, okay. So then does your back start to hurt around here? Like, it's okay to ask about pain. And that's totally a mature conversation. But when you start to go, well, your knee hurts, so that means you can't walk with your family and you're so sad that your grandkids are running and that you're watching them run and you know you're close to death. Is that right? It's like, gosh, like, get me away from this weird sadistic doctor. So I think there's this energy sometimes that people bring forward where it really agitates a pain. And this is a commonly taught marketing process that's like, what's the pain? Agitate the pain, like nail the pain. The wound is open. Now pour some sour stuff all over it and like, let's get really deep in there and make it burn even more. And then they're like, help me, please, like bandage this wound. Like, and then it becomes this whole thing. And of course, someone will buy from that. But again, it comes back to the frequency that we just talked about. That's like, firstly, that is horrible for our entire industry. And just like you said, the diet industry, again, there's two different kinds of lenses we can see the diet industry. It's like the one that's like, you're fat, here's a diet, right? And it's like, well, that makes me feel horrible about myself. Thank you so much. And then there's the other form of the diet industry that really positions like the opportunity, the desire, how you want to feel. It's like, I know this summer you want to run on the beach and feel the sexiest in this little skimpy bikini, and you feel like you're in your 20s again and everyone's looking at you and you want this. Like, okay, here are some different things, and they're activating. Like, that can also be a form of activation. It can also be, so there's different ways that we can look at it versus being, here's why your diet sucks and why it's not working and why you feel horrible. But again, there's still a lens here where we can look at, how can we still give people awareness, speak to the problem without agitating and creating this whole scenario that doesn't even exist, right? So it's like, one angle I think about is like, I might speak to someone and I'm like, you want more sales and you're following all these blueprints, but like, if you actually innovate, you'll attract this kind of a person. So it's like, it still speaks to a pain of like, oh, wait, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Or like, wait, maybe there's another way. So I think positioning areas of opportunity are powerful because it gives people an aha moment that they might never have had unless you shared this. But going down this rabbit hole of like, and here's why when you look at Stripe, you're so sad. And then why you look for validation, but then nobody's watching you. But then this is happening and you're like digging deep, deep, deep into this like wound versus it just being like, do you get triggered? Like when you're looking at, you're on Facebook Live, you see the numbers go down. Do you get triggered by that? Let's talk about it. So it's like, that's a pain solution conversation. But I think a bigger conversation to all of this is like, if we want people to also stay in our worlds for years and go way beyond, way beyond, like you said, point A to B, A to Z. It's like there is some form of coaching where people are solving a problem. And I do feel like it's helpful to have a, what are you getting when you purchase this? Yes. But also, I feel like the bigger than brand, the bigger than product, the bigger than launch conversation is also super important. And this is where I talk about like, what do I actually stand for? Where are we going? What's the identity shift I'm taking people on? Like for me, it's like when you become the innovator, you're paid to play. Like it's a whole conversation that's like, you're one of the innovators of the earth. You're in the League of Legends. You're creating things that people look at, but they can't even copy. And they're like, what is she doing? I don't know. I want it. Like it's a whole identity. And when we create from a point of an identity, it's like you're never really done versus when it's point A to B, it's like, check, I got the result. Thank you. Like how to build a course. Check, I built the course. Like, I guess I'm going to buy from someone else. And I see this not just, in people who are starting their businesses, but these are also in conversations I have with 8-figure entrepreneurs that already have a successful business, but their customer lifetime value is so much lower than it could be. And I'm like, oh, they could be running $1 billion company easily if they literally focused on this bigger movement, this bigger conversation where now more people are coming in, but they're actually staying. So instead of people buying these one-off courses, they're buying these courses and then going into these things and then events. And it's this whole movement beyond just a product. So I think that's another area to look at here as coaches is like, what's my bigger than product conversation? What's my like movement message? What's my position that's like a new conversation that no one's heard in this market, but this is the conversation I stand for and I am pioneering this new way. So this is the other area that I would start to consider as well. Yeah.
Love this because I wrote building movement earlier on my little notepad. And the thing is that by the time that they, even if it could be copyable,
Mm.
by the time that they actually get to it, you're already onto something else. And this is what I see with you. It's always like moving and moving. And I actually think that it's very interesting to, yes, you're doing business coaching. And at the beginning, I think that I was, cause I did a lot of, naturopathy, like I did a lot of transition to plant-based eating, and then I did life coaching, I did movement, somatics and everything.
Mm.
And now I'm currently, and that is like something that I wanted to do like several years ago, and now I'm actually like doing it. I'm 8 months in a 3-year training to become a death midwife, and I do grief companionship because like through the whatever process that I have been accompanying women up until now. But I sat for the past like 8 months with how do I ethically speak, because you were saying like, we talk about grief, like for me, like I like there's a balance between like pressure, like point
Mm.
pressure, but like there's an for me it's actually there's an ethical aspect to it where we need to talk about it. However, like I don't need to stir and like pour some salt
Yes. Yeah.
and vinegar in it, right? And there's something that you said in the last hand raiser that I actually wrote. I just love that you're saying activation and not triggers, because I think that a lot of people are using triggers when it's actually like
An
it's
activator.
more used than it should be, actually, first of all. And second of all, like an activator speaks to, and I was auditing like my post, and I'm actually, because I'm really, there's a lot of things going behind the scene right now. And I was auditing my posts as part of the homework that we had, and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually interesting. And I have found ways of like doing those posts that are how did you call it? The ones that are activating, you call them the
Identity activators? Was it that?
brain is
Okay, just describe it.
so those actually those eye catchers where you're like, that's I only work with narcissists, you were actually using that one, or like I don't help people, right? So those
Like heavily
stoppers.
dramatized.
Yeah, yes, and it's like, because right now I see that there's a lot of that going on, like in the industry, where it feels like I'm trying to over dramatize
Yeah.
somebody else. And I just sat with that like over the last few days, and I was like, okay, how does this land for me? Like, how does
Yeah.
this for me, how can I work this magic around it? And the thing is, there are things that I believe that are that. I don't need to over whatever thing anybody else. There are truly things that are showstoppers, or they're actually like they're gonna make people stop and say like, what the
Uh-huh.
hell is she talking about? Because I actually have, so there's a finesse to how we're using those prompts that I find that you bring to the table in such an incredible way, where it's not like just, yes, there's plug and plays, but there's a lot of finesse, there's a lot of like different ways of doing it in line with ourselves. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to underline that, because that was actually like really really cool, and it kind of made me make some peace with I was super masculine before, and then I went into really feminine, like, and I was auditing like some like old posts the other day, and I was like, oh boy, I was in my feminine. And
Yeah.
it's just like, is it me or is it not me? Was I just like trying on something to see, was I doing something like because I was reactive to something that I didn't want to go back? And when I got into your world, it was kind of like, you can have the 86, 164 or 1,000 plus flavors of ice cream if you want. You
Yeah,
just have to
and
create.
that's what makes people interesting. Like, I think a part of it is, like, seeing a post that's, like, very dramatic, and then seeing a post that's soft, and then seeing a post that's, like, more satire, and then seeing a post that's, like, I'm seeing all the different sides of the personality, and I think what's interesting about this is, like, it's gonna be that one that pulls people in, just like you, it's like, "She's a nightmare client" was, like, the hook, I'm pretty sure, for that one, and it was like, that really spoke to you, but then someone else is going to see something and be like, in the way that she creates, that's me. So it's like, how can I bring more of me forward? Right. So for you, it's like, there might be that story that someone clicks with the story. There might be the way you tell the story that clicks with someone. So it's like the more I can actually be fully me, people will experience different parts of me. And that's what we want on our feeds is we want it to feel not like it's this one monotone conversation, but all the different parts of us.
All the different parts of us. I just
Yes.
love this. Mary, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talk to me. Like your work is just amazing, but it also shows the possibility of doing things differently. And it's not about like innovation is actually like more about being tuned in into, I actually call it, some people call it the flow, but I'm a biologist by training. And when we were having like long hours over long days and overnight doing like some field work, there was a state of like tiredness that you get to at some point where everything is like you're kind of a high, and it's actually like a high of like, and we used to call it pur plaisir, which is like plaisir, like pure pleasure, and that's what it is, you know, like what does it feel in my body to be in that state, and how can I bring that to the world so the people that are looking to be or that are activating by that state can find me. And we can say whatever we want about social media, but it is an incredible free platform to use and to cast our voice and our messages, and to do that. So I think that it's always a good thing to remind ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
Create, have
thank you.
fun, and I think what you were even saying with the different identities and different parts of you, it's like it's trying on clothing. It's like you try something on and you see what it looks like, and then you try something else on and you see what it looks like. So it's like you try on the drama, you see what that feels like. You try on the no drama, you see what that feels like. And it's like that's how you find your style in anything. So, and this is what I used to teach design at Ryerson in downtown Toronto. I think now they're renamed Toronto Metropolitan. And one of the greatest things that I remember sharing was like when we really look at finding our design type and design style in artistry, in craft, it really is, you teach students the different forms of art. You teach, here's the body, and we'd have these like live drawing classes. And then it's like you would learn first, and then through the learning, you find your style. So you would see, third year, fourth year students, and I experienced myself going through the same program. You would see these students finding their styles, finding their zones of excellence. And they only find that through learning and trying on and experimenting. And then when you're ready to innovate, that's where you come to me and we start creating and we go up 100 million notches. But that's what I would love to like end with is really this like go try things on, go experience, go feel into the different zones that activate you in creation and just go create and have fun. That's how you started this.
That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. If you're not subscribed to the podcast on your favorite platform, I'm reminding you to do so to support the podcast. And also, if you have, I'd love to know like your comments, like how does this land? How does this different ways of seeing the social media marketing, the business coaching world lands for you? And until next time, I am telling you that I love you and I see you and I feel you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.